We now are changed from grams to moles. Remember that the grams will cancel out. We're in the moles now. Now I stop and I say, okay, what do I need to get to? What am I trying to get to? I'm trying to get to grams of KCl, but I have to go through moles first. Okay, so I need to change. Now that I'm in moles, I can go up to the equation, and I'm up in the equation, I say, oh, for every 2 moles of K, I get 2 moles of KCl. So on the bottom, I put 2 moles of K. On the top, I put 2 moles KCl. At this point, moles go out. I'm still not to what I want to be, which is grams of KCl. I have one more conversion to do. I need to add up potassium and chlorine and find out how many grams there are, and that's how many grams there are in 1 mole of potassium chloride. Moles of potassium chloride will go out. The 2's will go out. Somebody add potassium and chlorine together. Okay. Okay, and then we can times through the top and divide by the bottom to get the grams of KCl. Okay, what did we get? We got what? 0.77? Say it louder. 4.77. Okay, do we have a second on that? Yes, okay. So now we're going to change, and we're going to do the second part of this. I'm going to do it in red this time. And the second one says in 1.00 grams of chlorine and excess K, how much KCl do I make? So I'm still looking for grams of KCl. This time I'm starting with chlorine. So again, I have to go from grams of chlorine into moles of chlorine. Grams go out. I'm now in moles. I can go up to the equation and look at what's in front of them to get my mole ratio, to go from moles of one thing to moles of something new. There is 1 mole of Cl2 for every 2 moles of KCl. Moles of Cl2 will go out. Now the last conversion is the exact same as the one above, because I want to get from moles of KCl to grams of KCl. Moles of KCl will go out. Now, remembering that I have more than one thing on the bottom, I'm going to make sure that when I put it in my calculator, I hit divide, parentheses, and close parentheses after I'm done with everything on the bottom. It's the biggest mistake I see. Okay, so what do we get? Do I have a second? Everybody else is slower, I guess. Okay, so given the following equation, let's balance it. What do we need to do to balance it? Where do I put it to? On the right. Right there? Okay, and that's good. All right, so now this also has 2 parts. I'm just going to call them A and B here so we can go through and talk about them. We're going to do the same thing like we did up above, but this time they've given it to us in scientific notation. We can take it out of scientific notation, or we can leave it in. Either way. I'm going to do this one in black to start with. So I am trying to find grams of NaOH. I have been given grams of Na2O. Okay, so I'm going to start with the grams of Na2O. Since I know that 10 to the second just basically means move the decimal 2, right? This is basically saying 120. But they wanted me to know that I had 3 significant figures. That's why it's in scientific notation. So I'm going to put a decimal there to remind me that I have 3 significant figures. And that is grams of Na2O. Okay, some kids get freaked out because of the scientific notation. It's not a big deal. Okay, again, the first step is changing from grams to moles. So 1 mole of Na2O, and I've got to change it to grams of Na2O. So I'm going to times sodiums by 2, add oxygen, and I'll end up with a mass. So sodium is 22.99, so times that by 2 plus 15.99 for oxygen. $9.7? Okay, so at this point we can cross out grams of Na2O. We're now in moles. And at this point we can go to our equation because we are in moles. And we're going from here to here. So we want to get rid of the Na2O. It goes on the bottom, 1 mole Na2O. On the top is what we want to get to, which is sodium hydroxide. Grams go out, or moles go out, sorry. We're trying to get to grams. So the last stage, when we go from grams to moles, it's always 1 mole. And now we add up the mass of a sodium, an oxygen, and a hydrogen. Okay, good. Moles of NaOH go out. We times to the top and divide by the bottom. Since we only have one number, we don't need, on the bottom, we don't need to worry about parentheses. I'm going to shut that door. From the equation, right here. It'd be 1 to 1, yeah. So whatever the coefficient is becomes my ratio. If it was 3 or 4, I'd put a 3 or 4 in there. Okay? All right, timesing through, what do we get? Grams of NaOH. Okay, so let's do the next one. So how many grams? So this time I'm looking for grams of Na2O are produced when I have that many grams of NaOH. I'm going to change to blue on this one, just so we can keep track. Okay, so again, 160, moving it 2, right? And it's a decimal to show me I have 3 significant figures of NaOH. Well, we just added NaOH up in this top one right here, so I'm going to bring that down. 39.997 grams NaOH, and 1 mole of NaOH on the top. Grams go out. Everybody okay so far? Yes. We don't do the 2. Whenever we're going from grams to moles, it's always just 1. This next part now, we're going from here to here, so now we use it. I have to be in moles before I can use the equation. Everybody okay? We're trying to get to Na2O on this one. So now we want to get rid of NaOH, so what do we put on the bottom? 2 moles of NaOH. That's what's in front of NaOH. And we're trying to get to Na2O, and in front of that, there is just a 1, because of course we don't write 1s. Moles of NaOH go out. Our last conversion is basically this first one right here, but it's flipped. So we're going to put 1 mole of Na2O on the bottom, and we'll put 61.97 grams of Na2O on the top. Moles go out. There are 2 things on the bottom here, so be careful when you divide. Make sure you put the bottom in parentheses, and then get me an answer. 24? 124. Okay, how are we feeling? We getting this better?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to do any on the back, or do you want to leave that for practice? Okay, So if you need a computer, get a computer. We are going to do an exit quiz, and it has 10 questions on, so you need at least 10 minutes. So 5 after, we'll stop, and we'll go through. There might be some, but she's... For most part, she kept it in just normal. Okay? All right, everybody's good?